Coming up on Valley News Live at 10, Governor Burgum tours the damage from fire near Medora. A witness tells jurors that the knee was not necessary in dealing with George Floyd. Plus, what authorities have found out tonight about the man who rammed a barricade outside the U.S. Capitol building. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
A downed power line is to blame for starting the fire near Medora, North Dakota. Nearly 3,000 acres were torched. Tonight, crews remain on the scene looking for any hot spots. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum was in Medora today to survey the damage. Officials say while the fire is under control, it's not time to let down their guard.
All of us in the state have got to really pay attention to burn bans, and we got to really pay attention to everything. Everybody's got to become Smokey the Bear and pay attention.
The governor says we've already had more acres burn as of this April than all of 2020, and it's important to do your part in fire prevention during the drought. Several National Guard soldiers were activated yesterday, including 2 Black Hawk helicopter crews and support personnel to respond to the firefight in Medora. Those helicopters dumped large buckets of water on the flames, up to 500 gallons at a time. While one helicopter refueled and got its water bucket ready to go, the other headed straight toward the flames.
The first aircraft went on to the fire, made contact with the ground team, the controlling agencies, and started looking for a dip site that we could use for getting water to fight the fire.
Crews tonight remain on standby at the airport in Dickinson. Dry conditions throughout the valley have several fire officials reminding you to be careful this Easter weekend. No burn permits are being issued by Moorhead's Fire Department, meaning if you're wanting to torch any branches or leaves, it's going to have to wait. And if you're caught burning, you could face a fine of $100.
Should we identify an unsafe fire, we'll simply ask the homeowners or the residents to put the fire out. If we have to come back or if they're not cooperating with us, then we can impose a fine, but that would be a last resort for us.
Cross says that you can still grill or gather around the bonfire this weekend as long as the wind is less than 10 miles per hour. And speaking of those winds, they have eased this evening, which is very welcomed. Let's check in now with Summer Schnellbach with how long that's going to last. Summer?
Hey, Mike, it's a nice thing to not hear the wind finally after it's been on the breezy side all week long. But right now, we even have some calm wind readings, including Langdon, Bemidji, Detroit Lakes, and Wadena. Very nice calm winds. Only 3 miles per hour here in Fargo, 9 miles per hour in Grand Forks and Fosston. One of the breeziest spots out in Jamestown, a northerly breeze, still just at 12 miles per hour. But it was the breezy conditions out of the south earlier today that did help to usher in some warm air. Jamestown made it to 77 degrees today, as did Aberdeen. 72 was the high in Valley City, 70 in Grand Forks, 67 here in Fargo, 60 out in Park Rapids. And Mike, will be even warmer in a few minutes.
And with no wind, that's going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
All right, thanks.
What is your, your view of that use of force during that time period?
Totally unnecessary. Once a person is cuffed, the threat level goes down all the way, to they're cuffed. How can they really hurt you?
The knee on George Floyd's neck was, quote, totally unnecessary. That was from the head of the homicide division for the Minneapolis Police Department. Reporter Camilla Bernal wraps up the opening week of testimony in the murder trial of former officer Derek Chauvin.
Putting your knee on the neck for that amount of time is just uncalled for.
Derek Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes went against police training. That's according to the longest serving and most senior member of the Minneapolis Police Department.
I saw no reason why the officers felt they were in danger, and that's what they would have to feel to be able to use that kind of force.
During cross-examination, Chauvin's defense attorney trying to poke holes in Zimmerman's testimony by showing he is not in charge of training officers and highlighting the last time he was policing on the streets.
It's fair to say that since 1993, so 27, 28 years, you've not been on patrol in the city of Minneapolis.
Correct.
You're not out actively patrolling and arresting people for less serious offenses.
No.
Meanwhile, the former cashier who testified Wednesday that he now feels guilty for calling police on Floyd is expanding on his sentiments.
Not only am I like the contributing factor, I'm kind of like the big domino that fell. There was so much pain and hurt that followed that was unneeded.
In Minneapolis, Camila Bernal, Valley News Live.
That trial resumes Monday. It's still not known yet whether Chauvin will testify on his own behalf. And if you need help uncovering an issue in your community, call our whistleblower hotline. We'll do our best to get to the bottom of it. The phone number's on your screen, 701-237-6576. Call that number and leave your tip. Upwards of 2,600 children have been diagnosed with a rare but serious COVID-19 related condition called multi-system inflammatory syndrome. The CDC says out of the children diagnosed with MISC, 33 have died. Some of the symptoms are breathing trouble, stomach problems, heart problems, and skin problems. Severe illness due to the COVID-19 is still very rare among children. A new study shows that 1 dose of the coronavirus vaccine is as good as 2 for people who were previously infected. Researchers reported that people who have recovered from COVID-19 get as strong an immune response from just 1 dose of coronavirus vaccine as the general population gets after 2 doses. Their finding lends support to earlier research that indicates vaccine boosts the effect of the immune response to natural infection. If you're looking to get a vaccine in North Dakota, you have more than 400 options. And to compare them, here's some advice. Use our VNL vaccine tracker. It's right on the home page of our website. Or you can open your phone camera and point it to the QR code on your screen, then tap the link that pops up.
We do not have the suspect on file with U.S. Capitol Police, so there's no indication at this time that there's any nexus to any member of Congress.
Tonight we're learning more about the officer who was killed and an armed suspect who is dead at a barricade outside the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Reporter Karen Farah has the latest from Washington.
One U.S. Capitol Police officer is dead and another is injured after an incident near the U.S. Capitol Friday.
We lost a family member today, someone who showed up at work today to protect the Capitol, to protect the people working at the Capitol.
Officer William Billy Evans, an 18-year veteran of the Capitol Police, killed in the line of duty during an incident that locked down the Capitol complex. Officers responded to reports of a driver ramming a vehicle into 2 Capitol Police officers and a barricade on Constitution Avenue. U.S. Capitol Police said the driver exited the car brandishing a knife. The suspect, who is dead, was identified by federal and local law enforcement sources as Noah Green. Congress is not in session this week, and few lawmakers are working in the Capitol complex. Congressman Ro Khanna of California had just stepped out of his office when it all transpired.
When I came back, I had frantic calls from someone on my staff saying, get away, there's an incident. And honestly, it did bring back memories of January 6th.
The scene with the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th still fresh in lawmakers, officers, in Americans' minds.
This has been an extremely difficult time for U.S. Capitol Police after the events of January 6th and now the events that have occurred here today. So I ask that you keep our U.S. Capitol Police family in your thoughts and prayers.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
President Biden issued a statement following the incident saying he and the First Lady, Jill Biden, are heartbroken. The president also ordered that flags be lowered to half-staff.
And I would post it on my page, say, hey, I have 10 pints available. I'd have 100 people messaging me. That's when I kind of figured out, wow, I need to start doing this full scale.
Still ahead tonight, a former NDSU Bison star has gone from catching the football to starting his own ice cream business. We have the scoop.
Temperatures remain very mild tonight, mostly in the 40s, falling into the 30s and decreasing wind. Your Easter forecast right ahead.